Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. I'm joined in studio today by Ray Ora,
hey.
Jonathan Voico.
Morning, everybody.
Chris Carr is here.
Hey, guys.
And most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here, making our little show a part of your day. And here's how the show's going to go. We start off by talking about a few predetermined topics that we've got lined up for you guys. And then in the second part of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. If you've got a thought, theory, opinion, or question you'd like us to address, as long as we deem the thought, theory, opinion, or question appropriate to be addressed on the show, go ahead and fire it on into our tip link at www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. And good news is, if you happen to be listening to this podcast later on in the day on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or whatever your favorite podcasting app of choice is, or if you're watching this video a little bit later in the day when we're not live, the good news is this tip link is good 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So just send on in your question whenever you'd like, and we'll just get around to answering it on the next episode. All right, guys. That down, let's get things started off here today, shall we? We're going to talk about this. Dune prophecy draweth nigh. I'm excited about this. Of course, I think Dune Part 2 was probably the best movie I've seen in the last 10 years. I just think it was that good. That's how much I enjoyed it. So I've been clearly looking forward to Dune Prophecy. Not super excited about it because Denis Villeneuve isn't doing it himself, but then I saw the trailers for it. I thought it looked great. And now the first reviews have come out. And they're good. They're not amazing, but they're good. Right now, Dune Prophecy is holding a 73% on Rotten Tomatoes. And the basic gist from the reviewers seem to be, this ain't as good as the Dune movies, but it's good. The other warning that a lot of them seem to share is, if you haven't watched the Dune movies, you're probably not going to understand what's going on in this series. So it's very, very connected here. Here's what some of the critics had to say about it. Discussing Film said, Dune Prophecy, they liked it, gave it the red tomato. Dune Prophecy boasts a strong, well-rounded ensemble cast, a compelling narrative, and gorgeous set designs reminiscent of Denis Villeneuve's two films. However, some other lacking comparisons to the film are just too hard to shake off. The Wrap, again, liked it. They wrote, as it peers into the darkness in the souls and minds of its characters, it finds a potently sinister tone with the power to burn right through the very flesh, often literally, of all those caught in its grasp. Inverse did not like it. They wrote, in shaping a Dune story to fit this Game of Thrones mold, Dune Prophecy sands off the most interesting aspects of its story, while making the series feel indistinguishable from the countless other Game of Thrones knockoffs. The Fandom Wire liked it. They wrote, Dune Prophecy lacks the epic scope necessary to realistically bring this universe to life. This iteration feels like an imitation rather than an expansion of the Denis Villeneuve-directed films. Mama's Geeky liked it. They wrote, for those who are not all in on the Dune franchise, Prophecy may be a bit difficult to get into. This is very much immersed in the world, and if you do not know much of the lore, you may find yourself lost. If you love the world, you're in for a treat. And Awards Buzz wrote, they also liked it. Devotees of the franchise should appreciate the show's commitment to honoring its many, many layers, while first-time audiences might have more troubling accessing its specifics while still grasping its boldness, scope, and vision. So, it sounds like it's a good show, but if you're going into it expecting it to be quite on the level of, what I think is one of the best movies in years, maybe we'll be a little disappointed. It also sounds like if you're fresh to the world of Dune, at least according to these reviewers, it may leave you a little bit in the dust. So for me personally, as somebody who is very much into the lore of Dune, and I love the movies, this is at least a little bit encouraging to me. I was a little bit afraid it would just be terrible, especially without Denis Villeneuve there directing it. But it sounds like the overall consensus is that it's a good show, just not as good as the main one and not a good entry point. Now, Chris, you're one of the people that I know that actually didn't really love the first Dune movie.
No.
I can't even remember if you saw the second Dune movie.
It's fine.
Okay, it's fine.
Yeah.
So I think it's like one of the best films in years.
Yeah.
For you, it was fine. Is this what you were expecting coming out of this? Is there anything that's surprising you in the reviews we're hearing?
I'm not surprised to hear the Game of Thrones comparisons at all.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a formula we keep seeing people try to rehash and rehash. A lot of the other reviews did talk about, too, there's a lot of twists in this show, that there's a lot of surprising things that happen. I will say this does definitely knock down my excitement, because the series to me did look really interesting as somebody who hasn't been completely over the moon with all the Dune stuff.
Yeah.
This seems like really cool world building, and I'm really interested in learning more about this lore, and maybe this will make me appreciate the films more. Kind of the same way that, the Andor series is making me appreciate Rogue One more. And this is kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
Hopefully these are just some people who absolutely are rabid about Dune, and so this just didn't excite them as much. I'm hoping that I'll enjoy this series still, and I'll definitely give it a go. It's just a little bit of a bummer, I guess. But when you talk about this film and how lauded it is, it does have so much hype around it that I don't think a show really stood a chance of being at that same caliber.
You know what's funny, though? Reading the comparisons to Game of Thrones, there's I don't know how many of you guys ever saw this, but there was an online comic I used to love, an online comic strip called Player versus Player, PvP. If you guys never read it, you totally should go back and find it there. It was brilliant and funny, and I absolutely loved it. Anyway, they had this, I remember this one strip they had in PvP where there's an older guy it follows a gaming magazine, right? And there's an adult guy and a younger kid, and the younger kid is going, "Man, I went to go see the new Lord of the Rings movies, and it's just a Dungeons and Dragons ripoff. They had the dwarves and the elves and rangers, just totally." And of course, the joke is that the older guy understands and knows that Lord of the Rings was around long before Dungeons and Dragons. I kind of get that same sense when I'm reading the comparisons to Game of Thrones. It's like,
Sure.
the whole system of the great houses and political intrigue and all that was in Dune long before there was Game of Thrones. So it is kind of funny here, but the show did come first before the new movies at any rate.
And those books at least got, finished. The Dune
And
books.
those books, as bad as they got, the Dune books got finished.
They did get them to completion.
So I don't know, it's kind of funny hearing that. I'm still looking forward to it. I'm going to see how it turns out as somebody who is really into it. So we'll see how well it works. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about the reviews we're hearing out of Dune? Apparently, for Dune Prophecy, apparently the show is good, but it's not as good as the movies, and it might be a difficult entry point for somebody who's not already into Dune. That's not an obstacle for me, but it could be for many other people. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's talk about this, shall we? Of course, Penguin had its insanely great finale the other night, and it's got a lot of people talking about if there will be a season 2. Now, some people have pointed out, and I think we mentioned this yesterday, that in all the marketing for the wider release of the series, because they're going to do a physical media release of it and stuff like that, they're calling it a limited series. They're literally calling it a miniseries, which of course means, in awards terminology, it's a one-shot. But Matt Reeves was asked recently about, where do you go? Does the Penguin and did the show and the audience's responses to the show at all kind of influence where you're going to go with the Batman 2? And he kind of dropped that, no, they are indeed looking at a season 2. This comes to us from the Hollywood Reporter. This is Matt Reeves talking when he says, the movie is very much a Batman movie, talking about the Batman 2. So its focus is on Batman and Bruce. It's very much taking Robert Pattinson through this next leg and how the Rogues Gallery fits into that. So a lot of that was already in place by the time we were getting the dailies, but the dailies of the Penguin series. But there are absolutely certain ways in which it has affected it. It gave us ideas, and we're going, oh, we could do this. But we're still talking about the bigger picture and the future and what a second season of the Penguin might look like. You go through the process where you do something and have feelings about them, and then you see it go into the world, and it's no longer your baby. It belongs to the audience. To see them connect to Sophia, of course, makes us think there's more there. So again, I can't tell you what it is. We don't know yet. We're just starting to figure it out. So, and the big question that's kind of been looming since the finale, are they planning on doing a season 2? It sounded like maybe no when they gave it that limited series tag. But it sounds like this to me, Chris. It sounds like, no, they are trying to figure out season 2. They are talking about season 2. By the way, the interviewer also asked him about Colin Farrell's comments about this is hell. I'll be perfectly happy. I've never put this on again. And Matt says, I don't know. He said, Colin talked to me about that. He would love to play the character again. It's just that you have to understand the hell he went through every day getting all those prosthetics on, all that silicone on and all that. He said it was hours and hours and hours every day. Yeah. And then
I think he started his days at like 2:30 in the morning.
Oh, I mean, it was crazy. Yeah. And then while Colin is not a method actor, Matt said when he was on set and not in the prosthetics, he wore a mask over his face. And he told Matt Reeves, just refer to me as Oz. Oh. He wanted to try to stay in the mindset of it, which is not something he normally does. No. But anyway, Chris, as somebody who's appreciated the Penguin series as you has, what do you think about his comments? Do you think, listen, the first season was so great, maybe they should just leave it alone? Do you want to see them go on with another season? What do you make of Matt's comments here? I definitely would love more of this. And like we talked about before the show too, I'm awful. I have not finished the series. I have not watched the finale. You haven't seen the finale. You guys are all going to ruin for me. I don't care. It's fine. It's fine. It's my own fault because I wanted to watch Arcane and bad Christmas movies. So I made my choice. I still haven't seen the new Arcane yet. Oh my God. You're going to be very happy. Because there's been too much football the last couple of days. You're going to be super, super happy with these first 3 episodes. I'm so excited. They're delightful. But I love this series so far. I love her. Oh my gosh, Sophia, you crazy, crazy woman. I think it'd be wonderful to have more of this. And truly, we're at a point, and I know I always go on and on about this, but anytime there's a limited miniseries now, I just don't believe it. I just don't believe that it's going to be a limited series because all of these shows, for the most part, then go, well, you know, it was so well received that I guess we'll do another season. You're a show then. You're just a full-fledged show. Right. Stop calling yourself a limited release. And I feel like you can't argue with numbers and viewership, right? This is a huge hit for Warner Brothers. Which we're going to talk more about a little bit later in the episode. Yeah. And so I think doing a season 2 is a no-brainer. And if everyone's on board to do it, why wouldn't you? Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I answered a comment that somebody left last night because we were talking about Penguin yesterday and about maybe the possibility of season 2. And like somebody said, the season was great. Leave it alone. You don't have to go back to it, blah, blah. I'm like, so what? We shouldn't have The Godfather Part 2? We shouldn't have Empire Strikes Back? Or Sopranos should have just been one season? Or Sopranos, yeah, exactly. Sopranos should have just ended after season 1. Last of Us should have just ended. I mean, if you have a great world and you have great stories to tell them. I listen, I still remember when they announced a Penguin series, like I was excited about it because I love Colin Farrell in the Batman. But I still remember all the comments we got from people saying, no, this is pushing it way too far. This is going to ruin what they did in the Batman. Why do a TV series of a character? And look how it turned out. It was amazing. So and Matt Reeves strikes me as the kind of guy who he's only going to do it if he really does have a story. Yeah. He's not a Todd Phillips who's like, I'll do it for the money. No, he's only going to do it if he really feels he's got the story. And that's why I kind of like that. Number one, he's saying, we're talking about doing season 2, but he's also saying we're in no rush and we haven't figured it out yet. So it's not like they're jumping out. Cause you know, a lot of networks, when they have a hit series that come out, they've already greenlit season 2 and 3. Yeah. They haven't done that here, right? They're going to take their time and I kind of trust the process. Anyway, guys, question is for you. It sounded like Matt Reeves and Warner Brothers and HBO Max already kind of have their eye on season 2 and they're trying to figure it out. Do you think they should go ahead and do it? I absolutely think they do. I love the first season. I would love to see the next chapter of this, especially after whatever events we get in the Batman 2. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comments below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this. Wicked. It's almost here. What's the release date on Wicked? Is it the 22nd? I think so. Is it like 10 days away? Dear heavens. It's almost here. I still remember being at CinemaCon 2 CinemaCons ago. 2 CinemaCons ago. And them showing us a presentation for Wicked, a movie I was not all that interested in because I'm not the target demo, and being blown. You were there for that one. Mm-hmm. We were blown away by what they showed us. Like I went, oh my God, am I excited about Wicked now? Yes, I was. And then at this past CinemaCon back in April, they showed us another presentation for it. And I got even more excited about it. And I've been telling people, this movie's going to be big. And no, it's not. Nobody cares about Wicked. No one's going to watch this. Okay, guys, I've just been telling you, this movie's going to be very big. And it sounds like it might be a heavy hitter for awards presentations too, because according to IndieWire, the Academy just did a special screening for Academy voters, and it got what IndieWire is calling a rare standing ovation from Academy members. This comes to us from IndieWire, wrote the following. Universal is revealing Wicked to Academy voters and media as the film adaptation of the global musical juggernaut finally heads for screens on November 22nd. Well, there it is. On Sunday afternoon, the Academy screening at the Samuel Golden Theater on Wilshire, I've been to a few screenings there, it's a great place to watch a movie, drew some 900 attendees, the best showing since last year's Oppenheimer, and drew a rousing standing ovation as the credited role. And it's not the only awards body to do a screening. On Friday night, when the DGA, the Directors Guild of America, hosted a screening and a Q&A for SAG, that's the Screen Actors Guild, and Academy members as well as the press tenders were also ebullient? Ebullient? It's not a word I use often. Sandwiched between the two was the film's Hollywood premiere. All right. So while I am flabbergasted that there are still people out there, some of you, in our own comments section, who still insist this movie's not going to be big. 300 million tops, 300 maybe, 250, 350, maybe 400 million.
I'm feeling generous. 150 mil.
150 million. Not opening weekend. Like, seriously, people tell me it's going to make like 300 million tops. Okay. I think we were past that point. They're now projecting maybe 130 million opening weekend. But anyway, let's move past. Whatever the opening weekend's going to be, it's going to be. Who cares? But it's going to make a lot of money. But now it's sounding like it's not just going to be a big moneymaker. It sounds like it's actually going to be perhaps an award season contender. When you have these grumpy, when you have these jaded, many of them, Academy members at these sort of things, who, traditionally, I've argued in the last number of years, the Academy has changed. They are much more embracing genre content now and stuff like that. But still, traditionally, Academy and their voters have been a little bit resistant to genre stuff. You get in something like Wicked with fairy princesses and green witches flying on brooms and whatever. For that to get a standing ovation from that audience, and then the Directors Guild and SAG and people from there, with those audience losing their minds for it, it sounded like this movie, Wicked, could end up being one of those rare mixtures of a huge box office hit and be an award season darling. And I got to tell you, I'm not surprised to hear this. Because again, I think all told, between the two presentations, I've probably seen about 20 minutes of the movie. It's not a lot. That's more than most movies you get an advanced screening at. And I just got to tell you, I have been, as somebody who is not inclined to like this kind of content normally, I've loved what I've seen. So I'm not surprised to hear this. Anyway, Chris, you are reading about the reactions this thing is now getting. We did a report last week on the first reactions we've heard coming out of some screenings that were really super high. Now we're hearing Directors Guild people are loving it. SAG members are loving it. The Academy is loving it. Are you surprised to hear this kind of receptions? Where's your expectations like right now? And how big can it be? And should we actually expect to maybe hear Wicked's name come award season?
Oh, we absolutely will, I think. I think this is going to be huge. This is a wildly popular musical that Jonathan put this in the chat too. I mean, the soundtrack sold like bananas. Like, it's crazy how much this musical is made just from its stage presentation, right? I've seen this on Broadway. I've seen it in the West End. It's an amazing, amazing show. And it looks like this adaptation was done really beautifully. Perry Nemiroff's review of this is one of my favorites, talking about how the medium is used so well here to not only pay tribute to the show, but tweak things so it makes sense for a movie. That all being said, standing ovations I tend to not believe because, Indiana Jones, the latest one, got a standing ovation.
But did you see the first 5 minutes?
But it's who gave the standing ovation.
Sure.
That's the part to me.
And I understand that. Yeah. But I'm looking forward to more of hearing about the merit of the film, just because we keep hearing all these, at Cannes, we stood for 15 minutes for Joker 2. Why?
Well, that's customary anyway. I mean, that's
that's what I mean when I say it's important to me, not that it got a standing ovation. It's who and where did it
It's not
get that
necessarily
ovation?
customary
But
for
I
those
also don't think
audiences.
this is surprising for the Academy to be so in love with this. This ticks a lot of boxes for them. It's a musical adaptation. It is a huge scale film. This is not shot on a volume. These are practical sets. This is movie making at the most ideal version of what we all assume a big budget movie is. This is kind of what a movie about a movie would be, right? Big scale, huge musical numbers, sweeping cinematics. So I think that it's absolute Oscar bait. And if done well, particularly with these two leads, particularly with Cynthia, who has a voice like nobody else's, she has crazy, crazy vocal control and range. I think this is going to sweep award nominations.
I mean, don't even get me started
Yeah,
on
costume
Photoshop
is-
sales.
Oh my gosh, those Photoshop
Through the
sales
roof.
through the roof.
Costume and set design.
Costume
Obviously,
design,
maybe,
set design.
Maybe song. If the main song is really
I
good.
don't know that it qualifies.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
know unless they
It's
put
not
in
original.
an
Yeah, they need an
original
original
song
song.
into it. I don't think the song will qualify.
Yeah.
But to the point that both you guys just made, like you were mentioning about practical sets, Ray talking about the set design. I remember in the first CinemaCon presentation they did, they showed us footage, and then they came out and like, oh yeah, that rolling hillscape and everything, that's not CG. We literally brought in, what was it, like 2 million?
2 million poppies.
We brought in 2 million
insane.
flowers to dress a physical set to shoot it. And we were like, what?
Yeah.
It's like it was made in the 40s.
Yeah, they really adapted. I mean, they're using the best of new technology, but also adapting old school ways to make this stuff. So I think this is going to make a lot of people happy who are really into the physical sets and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They're doing that with Wicked. And so, again, it's going to be really interesting to see how this all turns out. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? The DGA, SAG, the Academy apparently are loving this film to go along with the first reactions that were glowing about it. How big do you think it'll be? I'm not sure it'll be the biggest film of the year. Like, I don't know that it's going to beat out Moana or Inside Out 2 or Deadpool 3, but yeah, anybody still thinking this movie's going to make like $300 million? I think you're crazy. Anyway, whatever you guys think about this, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? One of my favorite shows finally returned to television. Yellowstone is back in what I can only feel I think is the longest mid-season break in television history. Because season 5 premiered in 2022. It is now November of 2024, and we are now getting part 2 of season 5. That's how long the mid-season break has been. But anyway, debuted to what they are calling, quote, the biggest premiere night audience ever. The biggest premiere night audience ever. As the first episode back, remember, this is talking in first night viewing, not the first week, not the first 72 hours. On the night it debuted, Yellowstone Season 5 Part 2 debuted, according to the numbers, to over 16 million viewers on the first night. To put that into perspective, Season 5, back in 2022, debuted to what was a record-setting 10 million something viewers on the first night. And this being the first episode without Kevin Costner. And a lot of people wondered when all the Kevin, we won't revisit all of it, but when the Kevin Costner drama was going down and it was becoming clear he wasn't going to be coming back and they had the big parting of the ways, a lot of people wondered if that would be it for Yellowstone, if it would lose all its popularity. I wondered that. Apparently not, because it's its biggest audience ever. Biggest audience ever. I don't know how Kevin Costner's feeling today.
He found out that what happened to his character.
You're not, yep, you're not irreplaceable.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens moving forward. And by the way, just for the record, I love Kevin Costner in Yellowstone. I'm not dissing on Kevin Costner at all. I love Kevin Costner and I loved him in Yellowstone. But I love this show, man. You know, I remember, I can't remember who first turned me on to the show, but when I was a little bit late to it, I think I jumped on board with it in like season 2 or something, but I remember watching it and being floored because like one of my favorite shows ever is Sons of Anarchy. I was like, this is Sons of Anarchy on horses. Or as some other people call it, The Godfather on horses. You know what? It's both. It's Sons of Anarchy and The Godfather had a baby and put that baby on a horse, and you got Yellowstone.
Seems irresponsible.
Questionable parenting skills. But still, I loved it. And now for the record, I have not watched the new episode yet. I love this show. I'm passionate about it, but I haven't seen the new episode yet. Again, the weekend was filled with a lot of football and me and Ann doing a bunch of things. But I cannot wait to watch it. But again, this is the popularity of this series has always been underplayed. It is a massive popular show, and it is a wonderful show. If you guys haven't started watching Yellowstone yet, I would highly encourage you to go right back to season 1, start it off. It's some of the best characters on television. I absolutely love this series, and it's going to be very interesting to see how I feel the DNA of the show has changed without Kevin Costner there, because he was the main character of the show. But still, I'm excited about it. Anyway, Chris, are you surprised to hear these numbers? Where did you think the series might go without Kevin Costner? It looks like it's only gone up. What do you think?
I feel like people were going to tune in just to see how it was being handled, if anything.
Yeah.
And Kevin Costner, there we go, was doing a podcast on Sirius XM where he talked about, he was like, I keep seeing ads for my face on it. And I'm just like, I'm not in this one. What are they going to do? Like, he missed the premiere, and that's how he found out what happens with everything, just like everyone else. I think, too, he's been handling this with a lot of grace since he left, especially with how his films have done.
Yeah.
And he talked about, hey, it was really hard for them to maintain a schedule and everything with how I needed my schedule to be. And, it was contractually difficult to get things happening. And I completely understand they have to do what they have to do. And, they're really smart people working on that show. So I'm interested to see where it goes. So I think he's handling this in a really classy way. But I do think there's nothing better for your own show than behind the scenes drama to push that viewership for everyone to go, ooh, but how do they deal with this? What is the way they're going to execute this main character no longer being part of the program? And I think that definitely would drive a lot of people who aren't typically Yellowstone viewers to jump in and see what they're doing.
You bring up the behind the scenes drama because for a while there, it was nasty. Like Kevin Costner and his people were saying a bunch of stuff, and who's the showrunner again of Yellowstone? Tyler Sheridan, who makes tons of great stuff. Mayor of Kingstown. Anyway, him and his camp were saying a whole like it was getting nasty, and very few things frustrate me as much in Hollywood and even in YouTube as when people start airing their grievances publicly. Like I think it is the most. I only speak from, I'm a guy, so I can only speak from the perspective of a guy. As a guy, I think it's the most unmanly, wussy thing you can do is when these people start chirping at each other over public channels. It's like, grow the fuck up, be men, pick up your phone, call each other. If you got something to say to somebody, pick up the phone and say it to them directly. And I got the feeling that they did that because it was getting really nasty publicly, and all of a sudden it stopped. So I have a feeling like somebody from Sheridan's camp got on the phone with somebody from Costner's camp and just said, look, none of us look good with all this stuff. Let's say we just stop, and it'll be better for everybody if we do, because it seriously did. It was so nasty for a bit, and then out of nowhere, just bang, it stopped. So I think at some point cooler heads prevailed and they just said, okay, let's stop. And now they're saying things like Kevin Costner saying, oh yeah, we just couldn't make the schedules work. We all know it was more than that, but I love that he said that.
Exactly.
I thought it was good. So it's going to be really interesting now to see what the ratings on the show are going to be, because it wasn't just let's tune in and see how they handle it. Do the ratings drop on the next episode? Do they continue to go up? I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what they do. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? The debut of the 2-year-long wait for the debut of season 5, part 2. Took 2 years to get it to us, but what do you think about the numbers? Are you surprised? Are you not? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we still have a couple things we got to talk about, including the viewership for Penguin ended on an absolute high. We're going to talk about that. And Denzel Washington himself has confirmed that they are writing a part for him, and he's going to do a Black Panther 3. Denzel Washington is joining the MCU. We're going to talk about that and a few things more. But before we do, we're going to take a quick second and thank one of the sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at Miracle Made. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's episode, Miracle Made. Guys, it's hot outside and your nighttime bedroom temperature has a huge impact on your sleep quality. So if you wake up too hot or too cold, I highly recommend you check out Miracle Made's bed sheets. Miracle Made sheets are inspired by NASA and use silver-infused fabrics that are temperature regulating so you can sleep at the perfect temperature all night long. There are just so many things that make these sheets so fantastic. We already mentioned the self-cooling properties for better quality sleep, but they're also self-cleaning. These sheets are infused with silver that prevent up to 99.7% of bacterial growth, leaving them to stay cleaner and fresh 3 times longer than other sheets. No more gross odors. So go to trymiracle.com/Campea. That's TRYMIRACLE.com/Campea to try Miracle Made sheets today. And whether you're buying them for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, if you order today, you can save over 40%. And if you use our promo code Campea at checkout, you'll get 3 free towels and save an extra 20%. Miracle is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you aren't 100% satisfied, you'll get a full refund. So upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. Go to trymiracle.com/Campea and use the code Campea to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40% off. Again, that's trymiracle.com/Campea to treat yourself. Thank you, Miracle Made, for sponsoring this episode. And thank you to our friends at Miracle Made for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Of course, Penguin had its finale the other night. The show has been nothing short of spectacular. The only question remaining was, could they nail the landing? I was okay if they didn't because the show had already been so good, but they did. They nailed the landing. They crushed it. And then the only question left is, well, what did the viewership do? Because look, a lot of these shows, what happens is you get a certain number of people who watch the premiere. And then with a lot of them, okay, it's not for everybody. Some people stay on board with it. And then slowly the viewership goes down, maybe takes a little bit of a hike during the finale. But Penguin has week over week, much like Agatha did, week over week, the viewership got bigger and bigger and bigger. As word of mouth started to spread, people got excited about it. They talked about it. Again, this is why weekly releases of shows are always better than just dumping entire seasons at once. Word of mouth spread around, and more and more and more people started to jump on board with it. And now, according to Variety, the Penguin ended up 50% higher than the people who watched the premiere. It says this: the Penguin continued its streak of viewership growth on the finale episode on Sunday night. Per HBO, the final episode of the Batman spin-off series pulled in 2.1 million viewers across all platforms, marking yet another series high in viewership. Sunday's viewership figure is up approximately 50% from episode 1 of the series. The first episode has now pulled in nearly 17 million viewers since it debuted on September 19th. The show remains the most watched current HBO Max title debut season globally, behind only House of the Dragon and The Last of Us. So, it pulled off one of those things that every television showrunner dreams of happening. Having your viewership just go up and up and up and up and up as it goes. Again, doesn't happen often. We've seen on Disney Plus, for example, shows like Obi-Wan debut really high, and then gradually over the season, it drops. Mandalorian Season 3 debuted not all that high compared to the other season, but then it dropped. Ahsoka debuted for pretty high, dropped and dropped and dropped. The Acolyte had a pretty decent debut, but the viewership dropped and dropped and dropped. And then along came Agatha. Same thing happened with Secret Invasion. Debut was pretty good, and then just lost people as it went on. But then along came Agatha. Agatha comes, gets an all right, respectable debut, but then the audience goes up on episode 2. Then it goes up, or on episode 3, I should say. Then it goes up again in episode 4. Then it went up again on episode 5. And then it ended with about 50% of a bigger audience than what it started with. It doesn't happen a lot. Penguin just pulled it off. And now with Matt Reeves talking about the possibility of a Penguin 2, which you were starting to allude to, Chris, about when you have this kind of success, it's difficult to ignore that when the audience clearly got on board and clearly got behind it and supported it, and more audiences jumped on. So, Chris, now that the season's over and we see that it peaked so high, what is it about Penguin that had the audience returning again and again, that attracted new audience members? And what ultimately do you think these numbers, if any influence, will have on whether or not a season 2 happens?
I think great storytelling is what all this comes down to. Really great storytelling. And I think that's what got most people in here, because what I couldn't get over was everyone over and over saying, I can't believe we're having a show this good and it's Batman characters. I can't believe we have a comic book show that's so great. Why can't you believe that?
Yeah, why is it so hard to believe?
Why is that so shocking? There's a reason why companies have been mining this IP for years. There's great stories here. And I feel like this goes to show, too, you can do really smart, really deep storytelling with this IP. You don't have to, dumb it down or kidify it or really hang on the capes and cows, which I love. I love that stuff. But there's real gritty, interesting storytelling that you can do with these characters without deviating from the source material all that much when you get down to it. It's just taking a very grounded approach to it. And I think that really kept people coming back. And I think the word of mouth on this one did too. Weekly releases also helped this tremendously. I was on the phone with Rob last night and we were talking about just like, there's so many things come out now that you talk about for maybe a week or two. And then if it didn't make a big cultural impact, it's dead. And
it doesn't have a chance to build an audience.
Exactly. And that's the real death, right? Is when no one mentions your name ever again. And with media, that is horrible. So Penguin has been able to captivate people for weeks and build up this momentum and get other people to watch and have folks go, oh, you haven't caught up with it yet? You absolutely have to watch this show. And it appeals to so many people. If you were a big Sopranos person, you love this, right? If you're a big Batman person, you love this. If you just like really great acting, you love this. It's so well done. It's so well executed. And I just think people finally went, yeah, I guess I'll give it a shot. And then stuck around, because how can you not? This is so good. I can't wait to go home and watch this finale, even though thank you so much, chat. I know I said I didn't care, but now I care. You ruined shit. That's all right. It's my fault.
I mean, again, it's just there were like 4 different things in the finale that made me go, what? And not to try to elicit the old WWE fan reaction to Stone Cold Steve Austin, but still, I was like going, what? Like I audibly out loud, like gasping at certain things that they did in the show, whether it's with Sophia or Vic or whatever. Oh, just so crazy. Yeah. So crazy and so good. And apparently we weren't the only ones, because the audience kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about, are you surprised to see the numbers that these things have got, that the audience just grew and grew and grew? Could it continue to do that if they do a season 2? We're heading into Batman 2. How big of a role do you think Penguin's going to have? Whatever you guys think about all this, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this. Whenever you talk about names that people want to see join the MCU, we've had some amazing, huge names join the MCU, whether it's Robert Redford, Sir Anthony Hopkins, Sir Ben Kingsley, on and on and on, right? Huge, iconic names joining. So the conversation usually comes up about what other huge, iconic names would you like to see? One of the ones that always comes up is Denzel Washington. Well, guess what? According to Denzel Washington is joining the MCU.
Yeah.
In a recent interview, he was asked about a bunch of things, and this is what he said. And it comes across as if this is something he was not supposed to say. But he's talking about retiring. Said this, at this point in my career, I'm only interested in working with the best, Washington said in the interview. I don't know how many more films I'm going to be able to make. Probably not that many. I want to do things I haven't done. I played Othello at 22. I'm about to play Othello at 70. After that, I'm playing Hannibal. After that, I've been talking with Steve McQueen about a film. After that, Ryan Coogler is writing a part for me in the next Black Panther.
Feige fell out of his chair.
After that, I'm going to do the film Othello. After that, I'm going to do King Lear. And after that, I'm going to retire.
It's a lot of Shakespeare.
Now, first of all, listen, Denzel saying he's put a pin in the board for when he's retiring in and of itself should be a story. But again, it still looks like we're about 4 or 5 movies away from that. So we'll put a pin in that for now. For him to come out straight up and say, oh yeah, and Ryan Coogler is writing a part for me in the next Black Panther. I'm sorry, can we go back to that first? What? Yeah, he's going to be in the MCU. It's coming straight from Denzel's mouth.
That puts it further along than Blade.
We are going to see Denzel Washington in the MCU before we see Mahershala Ali in the MCU. Now, look. Sorry, Ray. Now, look, I put in the title of today's episode that Denzel Washington joining the MCU in Black Panther 3. That might be a mistake. Because to be specific, he didn't say Coogler's writing a part for me in Black Panther 3. He said he's writing a part for me in the next Black Panther. But John, isn't that the same thing? It's probably the same thing, but I guess there's some wiggle room that it could be another kind of movie that is a Black Panther movie, but may not necessarily be Black Panther 3. So whatever, that could just be semantics. The bottom line is here, Denzel Washington is coming to the MCU. Now, if you had told me yesterday, Denzel's coming to the MCU, who do you think he's going to be? I would have put a good $20 on that he was going to be Magneto.
Yeah.
That would have been the first, because we've kind of talked about that a lot. I think he would be an incredible Magneto. But it also sounds like this is going to be a one-shot. Because he says, I'm going to do a Black Panther, then I'm doing Othello, then King Lear, then I'm retiring. So I don't know. Maybe success has a way of changing people's minds. And listen, I'm going to tell you this. In his long, illustrious, award-laden career, this movie is going to be the one he makes the most money on. This will be the biggest payday of his career. And maybe he's thinking, you know what? I deserve one. Of all the great cinema I've made, I deserve one that's just a really good payday. And it's working with an incredible director like Ryan Coogler. So if you can do the best of both worlds, if you can work with one of the hottest, best filmmakers, and probably collect the biggest payday you've ever had in your career, why not do both at once?
Why not?
Why not, indeed? I mean, hey.
He deserves it, man.
He absolutely deserves it.
Deserves
He's
that
one of the
payday.
greatest of all time.
Absolutely, man.
It's a really good
Absolutely.
retirement plan, too.
It's an excellent retirement.
Do what you want to do, Denzel. It's your world right here.
Yeah.
So
But I'll tell you what. Let's say they turn things around. Because, of course, Black Panther 2 wasn't that good. I mean, it just wasn't. I'm not saying it was bad. I'm just saying it wasn't that good. It made over about, I think, a little over 500 million, like $500 million less than Black Panther 1 made. And it's fine for a second film to make a bit less than the first one, but it made like $500 million less than the one before.
Still
that.
860 though.
Yeah, still in the 800 millions. $500 million less than the 1.3 something million that the first one made. And again, it's just, you know what? It's a completely unmemorable film. It's just, it was what it was. You bring in a Denzel Washington, you've piqued my interest. You bring in one of the greatest actors of all time, one of the most important actors of all time, you've piqued my interest. So, yeah, I was kind of hoping for a Magneto. I'm not going to lie. But I'll take Denzel Washington in the MCU in any way. Hell, the DCU. I'll take Denzel Washington in one of these films in whatever way, shape, or form I can. And there's one other element to this, Chris, I want to throw out there.
Okay.
Because, yes, Sir Anthony Hopkins has been in the MCU. Yes, Robert Redford, Sir Ben Kingsley,
Michael Douglas.
Michael Douglas, Glenn Close.
Yeah.
I mean, you've had some iconic names. I feel like Denzel, I feel like that's going to throw open the floodgates. Like we've had guys like, I'm going to throw a name out there. Leonardo DiCaprio. I think if Denzel does the MCU, I think Leonardo DiCaprio starts thinking, you know what? Maybe I can do one of those. That's both critically loved with a world-class filmmaker and collect the biggest payday of my life. Maybe a Brad Pitt, who technically is already in the MCU as the Invisible Boy. I mean, technically speaking, he is, I suppose, but maybe maybe some of these other again, I'm getting way ahead of myself here. But anyway, Chris, you read about this. Denzel probably just pulled a Tom Holland, maybe said something he wasn't supposed to say.
And no one will ever correct
yeah,
him.
exactly. Unlike Tom Holland, they're like, no, it's fine.
That's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah, nobody is ringing up Denzel's phone to chastise
No.
Denzel. If somebody did, Denzel goes, you might want to rethink what you're doing. No one is chastising Denzel. But anyway, Denzel himself has confirmed he's getting a part written for him in the next Black Panther film. Your response to that?
Oh, it's so exciting. That's great. That makes me really excited about whatever they do next with Black Panther. I love chat did this too. It was, can we get his son to be T'Challa then? Can we get David Washington up in here?
David Washington would be a great new
love
T'Challa.
that. I think it'd be killer. I love this. Honestly, the thing that I'm most excited about in this quote, though, is him returning to being Othello, because how cool is it to go from playing a role when you were 22 to taking on the role again when you're about to turn 70? Like, that's wild.
Hugh Jackman came close to doing that with Wolverine a little
This
bit.
is true. Yeah. But
Not
I'm
a
so
50-year difference.
I'm so excited to see how he approaches that role and everything, because when he does Shakespeare, like Much Ado About Nothing and Macbeth, obviously, oh my gosh, he's killer. But I think this also goes to show that these films attract talent. They attract real incredible thespians.
Yeah.
Really amazing actors want to be in this. Really great directors and writers want to be doing these things. And if you can make really, again, quality storytelling is what ultimately people want to go see. If it happens to be attached to something that was once a graphic novel, it's not a big deal. You can tell really great stories that attract this caliber of actor to come on board. And the paycheck, I'm sure, does not hurt. We all should be so lucky as to, be able to end our career on a Marvel movie.
There's also a lot of actors or actresses that have grandchildren that want them to be in a MCU movie, like encourage them. I that's got to be some sort of motivation.
Well, to your point, I was talking with Anthony Hopkins. It was right before the first Thor movie came out. And I was talking with Anthony Hopkins, I should say Sir Anthony. And he specifically said that. I was like, what, with everything you've done in your career, like what brings this? And he specifically said, my grandchildren.
Yeah, if anything will get their attention, it's something like that.
Yeah.
They're going to be calling you Iron Man or Black Panther for the rest of their lives. If you
Actually, even Jennifer Garner was saying, I just watched a video with Jennifer Garner where she said, like, I think one of the big, besides the fact, remember, she worked with Ryan Reynolds and Sean Levy in Adam Project. So she loved that. So she was going to do whatever with them again. But she said one of the reasons that she did come back was so I could look cool in front of my kids and their friends.
Yeah.
I'm Elektra now. I'm not just mom. Now I'm Elektra again or whatever. So, I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right. That's probably a big motivating factor because, listen, Denzel's one of those actors that the name Denzel is always Denzel, right? In whatever generation. But maybe one of the things that he's thinking is, and I'm speculating here, I do a Marvel movie now, I am now Denzel to a whole new generation.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Like, I will be like a fan favorite to kids, their parents, and their grandparents. And not many actors get to do that.
Has he done any voiceover work for, like, let's say,
That's a great question.
Pixar or like this?
We have a voiceover artist in the room who might not. Has Denzel
I'm
ever done
checking.
one?
I don't know if
Because that could be some
That's a great
thing he
question. I
hasn't
don't know.
tapped into yet. If he's even interested in something like that, but he has a great voice. He has that.
Oh, he does.
I don't know what accent he's carrying, but he always has that little shtick to it that I really love.
I'm not sure where he was born. I can't remember.
Where Denzel was born?
Yeah, that would give an indication to that his accent.
Oh, yeah,
Like
whatever
what
it
city,
is. He's
you
just so good.
New York.
New York.
He was born in New York?
There you go.
Yeah, makes sense. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Denzel himself has said he's coming to the MCU in a Black Panther movie. What kind of role do you think it will be? Do you think maybe if it's big enough, he'll stick around? Will he get knocked off in the first film? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, it's time for us to get into the most important part of our show, which is taking your live comments and questions. But before we do, we're going to take a quick second to thank another sponsor of today's episode of the John Campea Show, our friends at The Perfect Gene. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, The Perfect Gene. So the colder season is here, and guess what? I am living in the perfect jean. These jeans are super stretchy, soft, and totally trick people into thinking I've got my life together. And I'm telling you this because I actually love them. These are absolutely, no questions asked, my favorite jeans that I have ever owned. And yes, the folks over at The Perfect Jean are paying me to say that, but it's still absolutely true. These are my favorite jeans ever. These jeans have enough stretch to accommodate Thanksgiving dinner and are comfy enough to wear all day watching Sunday football. Plus, even though they feel like sweatpants, they look good enough to be your go-to pants for date night. And listen, the Perfect Jean isn't even just pants. They've revolutionized t-shirts as well. The Perfect Tee has just enough stretch to hide that beer belly while accentuating your arms and chest for that flawless look. My guys, it's finally time to stop crushing your balls in uncomfortable jeans by going to theperfectjean.nyc. Our listeners get 15% off your first order, plus free shipping, free returns, and free exchanges when you use the code CAMPEA at checkout. That's 15% off for new customers at theperfectjean.nyc with the promo code Campea. And after you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support the John Campea Show and tell them we sent you. F your khakis and get the perfect jean. And thank you to our friends at The Perfect Jean for sponsoring the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's get on the important stuff here. Your comments and questions. Jonathan, what we got up first?
Bob says, Stubble McShave says, Mattel is so customer friendly that they go overboard in showing choking hazards with the URL reference. Silly, just silly.
Ew.
Apparently, Wicked did put up a choking hazard warning. No, there wasn't a child age verification thing on the pornwicked.com site until this happened.
Oh.
Then when they found out about the Mattel thing where children are going to be coming and checking out this website because of the accident they put on the box with the Wicked toys, then they put up like some age restriction thing on it. But it's like,
Cool.
You know what's crazy? Think about one of their people who monitor their traffic. They're like, we've got an uptick lately.
yeah, what
the heck
our
is
traffic
going on
went up
here?
50% in the 12 and under demographic. Crazy.
We've been bookmarked a lot.
You better call Shannon Tweed.
All right, what's next?
Rick Flares Martini says, I fear Hollywood might make less content with social commentary and diversity now, even though films like Avatar 2, Black Panther 2, Barbie, Dune 2, Deadpool 3, that's a lot of sequels, etc., all had plenty of both and were the biggest movies of the last 3 years. Thoughts?
No, that's bullshit.
I don't
That's
think so.
Look, film, here's the thing that I'd say to a bunch of basement-dwelling losers. Film has always given political and social commentary.
Mm-hmm.
Art, in and of itself, is that. Art is a reflection of the world, which is filled with issues and politics and commentary. George Lucas himself, like Star Wars was a political observation movie. The original Star Wars films were. George Lucas himself talks about it.
No, John, the Star Wars movies have nothing to do with politics at all in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, no, don't listen
I
to George.
understand media literacy.
So all art is an observation of the way the world is, was, could be, we fear could be. And if you're going to do that, you can't do that with observations about the society we live in, the culture we live in, the trends and politics of what make it up. That's what art is. It has always been there. It will always be there. And and it's massively successful. Look, talked about this yesterday, but Barbie being a female-centric, female issues kind of centric movie, that is for everybody, but it focuses on some things, is not automatic. Because that movie was the biggest film of the year, it doesn't automatically mean that's a formula. Oh, therefore, if you make any movie that's female-centric, female this, that will be the biggest film of the movie. No. Any more than if we found or picked out a movie that was also female-centric and female issues that didn't do well, that doesn't mean female-centric movies don't do well. Talked about I said this yesterday, Chris. Mm-hmm. You took one show about singing lesbian witches in The Acolyte, was terrible and awful, and then another series that had singing lesbian witches in Agatha, that's a huge hit, that basically means neither were a hit or bad because it had singing lesbian witches. They were a hit or were bad because they were either good storytelling or bad storytelling. One was horrible storytelling. One was really good. So, no, art will always be art, and art will always have observations and things to say about our culture and politics and stuff like that, and it always should. And it's just sad that there are some people that determine whether something they think is good art or not totally based on whether it reflects their politics. And that's a sad thing. But at any rate. But no, Hollywood will never change that, nor should they ever change that, because then it's not art anymore. All right, what's next?
Nengang says, thoughts on Creature Commandos? It's almost out, and the series is the first entry to the new DCU. James Gunn himself said on Threads, it will lead directly into Peacemaker Season 2. The voice actors for the animated shows will play the characters in live action too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not terribly excited about it. I think part of the reason I'm not terribly excited about it is because, and now I'm going to check it out and have all the faith in the world in James Gunn. But the trailer didn't do anything for me. I watched the trailer and I felt just like, oh, it's the boys and Harley Quinn kind of mashed together. Okay, it's super violent. Okay, but we've had that a lot lately. Again, I'm not saying it's not going to be good, and I'm not saying I'm not going to check it out. I'm just saying right now, having not seen the show yet, I'm just being honest. I'm not super excited about it. Anyway, Chris, where's your expectation or excitement level for Creature Commandos right now?
I'm pretty lukewarm. I like the vocal cast. Love David Harbour. Excited to see him in the mix here, but I'm not like marking down the days on my calendar.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's good.
I hope so. Look, I have a lot of belief it's probably going to be good. I'm just saying maybe once I see it, my excitement will skyrocket. Just right now, I'm just being honest. I'm not super stoked for it yet. All right, what's next?
Garden Variety says that Wicked.com does have warnings for choking hazards. So,
There you go.
Okay.
and then Nengang is back and says, I'm not confident with Simon Kinberg making a Star Wars trilogy. He's a great producer. However, his writing is a bit risky. Fantastic Four, X-Men. Rebels was great, but he only co-wrote 7 episodes out of the 74 episodes. Produce it, but find a writer. Well, he won't be directing. I think directing's the main issue.
No, yeah, he's not going to be directing, and that's the key thing. And remember, we talked about this the other day, that about 20% of a movie's quality comes from the script. Because I've read it's 20% the bones and 80% the telling of the story. Your experience of the story is about 20% the story itself and 80% the telling of the story, how the story is told. I have read many very good scripts that have turned into bad movies. It's just the reality. A lot of good scripts have turned into bad movies. And just the fact that he did create Rebels and that he did write a lot of Rebels and he set the blueprint for Rebels, that tells me he, number one, knows Star Wars. He knows how to write Star Wars. He understands the characters of Star Wars. So I think it's as good of a choice as just about anybody. Now, don't get me wrong. If somebody said to me, would you rather have Christopher Nolan developing a new Star Wars trilogy or Simon Kinberg? Well, obviously Christopher Nolan. But as somebody who was very, very critical of Simon Kinberg's directorial efforts, because I thought it was a very bad job he did, I think he's got a lot of potential to do something good with Star Wars. So let's wait and see how it all turns out. All right, what's next?
Anonymous says, at the end of Penguin, we see him and his mom in the penthouse. She had gotten him earlier to promise to pull the plug if she was ever a vegetable. But
No, that's not what she asked him.
Yeah, but I think it was revenge for her admitting that she hated him, not just a broken promise. At first, my knee-jerk reaction was there, but I agree. I don't think that's the case.
No, if you go back, she never made him promise to kill her if she becomes a vegetable.
No.
She didn't want to completely lose her mind.
Yeah, it was about her mind going.
I'm starting to see things that aren't there. She goes, if don't let me become that. That is different than being in a vegetative state.
Yeah, she was aware of what was going on around her because she was crying.
Yeah. So that was two different things. That was two totally different things. And remember, that wasn't her he was dancing with at the end. That was Eve.
Was to him.
Made up to look like his mother. I mean, that's the craziest part. That's the part that gets like totally into psychology.
No, but that was perfect. I loved it because it was like, wow, now he's in art. Now he can become an Arkham candidate because he's having to be a little delusional now.
Tell me you love me, Ma. Tell me you're proud of me. I'm proud of you, Oz. Oh my God. I'm like, oh, it's so twisted. Anyway, okay, what's next?
Victor says, saw Paddington in Peru today in the UK. It's not Paddington 2, but it's fun. heartwarming and made me smile. Oh, and stay for the mid-credit scene. There is end credits, but very brief. See,
Yeah,
here's the other thing. People are like, well, it's not Paddington 2, but is it Paddington? Is it close to the first? You know, in
Wow,
quality?
they're both so good. Look, I to be honest with you, it's a Peter King. Peter King was the director of Paddington 1 and 2. Paul King. Paul King. When we realized that Paul King himself was not going to direct the third one, I abandoned any hope that Paddington 3 would be as good as Paddington 1 or 2. I mean, it's still possible. But as long as it's good. And the basic kind of feedback we've been hearing is Paddington 3 is a very good movie. Maybe not on the same level as Paddington and Paddington 2, but still a very good movie. And as long as it delivers me that, I'm totally, I'm not going to lie to you. I am excited for Paddington in Peru.
Heck yeah.
So's Ann. Ann's totally stoked for it.
Heck yeah, man. It had an uphill battle to begin with, just because of the first two. They were
Yeah.
really good. I mean, without the...
Ann went to London not long ago.
Right.
She went to go see the big AEW event that they had in
She
Wembley
brought me back a
Stadium.
little Paddington.
Because our friend Nigel was there doing it. But while she was there, she took the Paddington tour.
Oh.
She went to see Paul King's house. She went to the train station where they shot they went to some location, they shot some of the Paddington stuff. So yeah, I cannot wait to see this. All right, what's next?
Paul Dean says, hi, Campea crew. I think I've left it long enough for spoilers. I felt so much for Vic in The Penguin. I know he did some bad stuff, but what happened to him hurt. Also thought Sophia was done but I was wrong. It was a good finale.
And again, the ending with Vic.
Hey, man, Vic could have got on that bus.
Yeah. Yeah, and at the end of the day, he should have got on the bus. He should have gone on that bus. But it shocked me. This is the brilliance of the writing of this show. It shocked me, but then when you thought about it, you're like, it makes sense. It tracks. Oz realizing his one big weakness that other people can take advantage of is if he's got people he cares about. What does he do? Eliminate the people he cares about. Holy shit, this is such good writing. Anyway, all right, what's next?
He's the anti-Toretto.
Yeah.
Thunder says, Mr. Thunder says, with the new Harry Potter series, how much do you think they will borrow from the movies? I can see them using John Williams themes and similar set design, as it's all so iconic. But I could also see them trying to make it entirely unique and separate.
Well, the fact that they're all based on the same book means there's only so much you can do to make it totally unique.
And the world is already set with the actual attractions you can go visit. They're not going to change that.
Yeah, the big question to me is whether or not they still keep the John Williams score. I normally would say get it. Like, for instance, with the new Superman, I'm saying no. Don't use Hans Zimmer's or John Williams' Superman score. Get a new Superman score for a new Superman.
Mm-hmm.
But in the case of the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, I feel like, no, that's the music. Bum, bum, ba, bum, bum,
I think you keep
bum,
that
bum.
main theme.
I think you keep that theme. You create some unique stuff. How do you think they should approach it?
Yeah, keep the main theme and then deviate from there.
Yeah, with some dubstep.
Nice, bro. Yes.
Dun, 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 dun.
By the way, Abner Torres sends in a super chat badge. Thank you, Abner. Appreciate that, man. All
For
right.
more dubstep voices, follow me at. Did he just say that? Hi, John and crew. Arcane is back. I've only been able to see episode 1, but if the rest of the season is the same, then OMG, yes. The fact the entire episode didn't have a single shot of Jinx and yet was still so amazing just shows how awesome it is.
Yeah, I this weekend I did not have a chance to get started on season 2 yet. Ann and I were talking about it last night. It's like, we got to sit down and watch season 2. Of course, but we had Monday Night Football last night. So we're going to hopefully do that in the next 24, 48 hours. I love this show so much, and I can't wait to jump back on board with it. All right, what's next?
All right, we got Cannon with a two-parter who says, I don't like Prisoners of the Moment, so after years of rewatches, research, and discussions, I'm ready to stand on these unpopular opinions. Tenet makes no sense. Well, I don't know, that's so unpopular.
Yeah.
Endgame is equals a weak story. Old Guard is all premise swan songs. Swan Song is
underrated.
underrated. Power of Dog is a movie. The Lovebirds is really funny. Interesting. Red Notice equals good time. Free Guy is a romantic twist. Works. Spirited didn't make it past 30 minutes.
What?
I don't know.
I
Okay.
didn't super love Spirited, but that was the
The
Will
Ryan
Ferrell,
Reynolds
Ryan
and Will
Reynolds
Ferrell
musical,
one.
right?
It's adorable.
I liked it though.
I've
I
already
did.
watched it this season.
Well, he did say they're unpopular, so let's move forward.
These are
The
great,
har-
actually.
the harder they fall equals needed. Wow. So the harder they fall, he's a big fan of.
Wait a second, which one was the harder they fall?
That's
Wasn't-
the one with the train, the Western. Wasn't that the Western with
No. Yeah.
what's the lead actor?
Jonathan Majors is
Jonathan Majors.
Oh, the one that
Remember
was
we
straight to
watched we watched the
Netflix.
red carpet.
Zazie
Oh
Beetz.
God, that movie sucked.
We watched
Anyway,
the red-
sorry about
yeah.
that. Sorry, but they okay. So anyway,
Okay.
complete the question.
All right. So the harder they fall is needed. So, okay. No Way Home is the weakest story, I'm guessing, of the trilogy. And Nope and Us are trash.
Well, I mean, all
I love
movies.
Nope.
I didn't like Nope
do
all
like-
that much.
Oh, no, wait. Nope and Us. I'm thinking of, what was the
Get
one
Out.
before that? Get Out.
Oh, Get Out was great.
Get Out was great.
Get Out's fabulous. But yeah, I wasn't big on Nope. Anyway, all right,
man.
what's next?
Well,
Okay.
buddy.
Joe Adonis says hi, John, Jonathan, Chris, and Ray. Speaking of marketing blunders, there was one in the Philippines 2 decades ago for an aged brandy. The tagline read, "Have you tasted a 15-year-old?"
Oh, no.
Oh my lord!
That did not go well. Beats pork, the one you love.
Philippines on the map,
Oh,
baby.
God.
Have you ever tasted a 15-year-old?
How? How did no one?
Is that how they do the songs, the jingles in the Philippines?
And then it turns into bum, ba, 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 ba. 15-year-old. Ba, 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 ba. There should be like like
You tasted it.
This 15-year-old isn't old enough to drink, but you can.
Now, all I can hear is, "Have you tasted a 15-year-old in a Ray or a Filipino accent?"
15-year-old. It's like a jingle.
have you ever tasted that should be the official beverage of prison.
Oh my
That was
God.
such good delivery, Ray.
It's like
Holy
Gatorade.
shit.
It's Gatorade for prisoners. Let's
I
go.
think it's just some of these times when the copy. How does nobody catch this stuff?
Well, it's the Philippines.
Like,
I mean,
pork
come
the
on.
one you love.
That's why he prefixed it with the Philippines, so we all understood
Have
that.
you
Oh
ever
yeah,
tasted
nothing
a
gets checked there.
15-year-old?
Nothing gets checked there.
Please, God, say no.
I mean, they had when we were in the Philippines, there was this laundromat that we saw. It was called Star Wash, Attack of the Clothes. Nothing gets checked there.
I would go
I
there.
like
just
that
for
one.
And we walked by it, and I was like, "Too bad I don't have any."
I would
clothes
think
to
about
wash.
using their services.
Oh my God.
Nothing is like copyrighted there.
Yeah.
Everything is all go. Whatever.
All right, what's next?
We got Anonymous Steve said with a $20 tip.
Oh, thank you, Anonymous Steve.
Hi, John and crew. At D23, Cameron confirmed that Michelle Yeoh won't be in Avatar Fire and Ash, but in Avatar 4 and 5. She was announced to join back in 2019, and assuming Avatar 4 is still coming out in 2029, they'll mark 10 years since the shooting. That's insane.
I don't think they've shot it. I don't think they've shot Avatar 4 yet.
Well, if she's involved,
At
in any
least
of them.
certainly not in 2019. I don't
Yeah.
think they shot any of Avatar 4. Maybe they have. James Cameron thinks very far ahead. Yeah, I am. Man, Avatar 2 pleasantly surprised me. I did not think, honestly, you should never doubt James Cameron, absolutely, but there was still a part of my brain that was thinking, this is going to fall off. But Avatar 2 was very entertaining. And yeah, I'm expecting. What was the title of the third one again?
Fire and
Fire
Ash.
and Ash.
Fire and Ash. Right, I thought I said Fire and Ice. Yeah, that's different. Fire and
That's
Ice
a
is
different
different.
Another Game of Thrones knockoff. God.
Fire and Blood.
But it's going to be great, and I can't wait to see her in it. By the way, she has a show out on Netflix, and it got canceled after one season. It's called The Brother's Son.
Oh yeah. Okay.
It's so good. It's not shrinking, right? But it was so entertaining. I loved it. If you haven't watched it, go on Netflix, look up Brother's Son. It's S-U-N, not S-O-N. And it's fun. It's like great characters. The action is great. Go check it out if you get a chance. But they canceled it. Damn it. Anyway. All right. What's next?
Sholo says, "Hey guys, would you submit Kristen Milioti for Best Actress at the Emmys? Yes. To make room for Tierji O'Donnell, aka Mama Cobb, as supporting. I feel she was amazing in The Penguin. I wouldn't. She does qualify as actress.
Well, I mean, first of all, it doesn't matter. Let's say Milioti gets put into the Best Supporting Actress category. It doesn't matter. Every year, like 5 actresses from White Lotus get nominated. 5 actors get nominated from Succession in the same category. I mean, at the Emmys, literally, go look up the Emmy nomination list. You go into like Best Supporting Actor, 4 guys from the same show. I mean, so it doesn't really matter. You don't need to, quote unquote, make room. Now, whether they should or shouldn't put Milioti in Best Actress or Best Supporting Actress, that's a different discussion. But it has no bearing on, you don't have to make room for everybody, for anybody. The woman who played, Mama Cobb, she's either going to get nominated or she isn't. It'll have nothing to do with her other Miliotis in that category. But she was great. She was really, really good in the show.
Sidebar. Do we think Milioti appears in the Batman too?
Yes.
I hope so.
I don't think they originally planned it, but after reading that interview with Matt Reeves, I believe that they're considering putting her in there now, especially when she gets that letter from Selena at the end, right? So anyway, all right, what's next?
Shola says, "Have you guys seen part 1 of Arcane season 2? What a show! Hasn't skipped a beat. Thanks."
As we've already established, no, not yet, but I am very. You have?
Yeah.
And that's what you're saying. I'm going to be happy.
Mm-hmm. It's so good. It's so good.
A question: do they still use that Imagine Dragons song as their opening theme, or
the enemy one?
Yeah,
yeah,
they do. Okay, I love that song. I was kind of hoping they'd get a new song for the second season, but
I'm not a huge Imagine Dragons fan. They don't do it for me.
No,
there's a couple of songs they have that, like, we were just talking about Imagine Dragons yesterday. They had the song on the trailer of Mission Impossible.
Oh yeah,
that Friction. I love that song.
Not Rogue Nation. I forget which one it was.
Yeah, I can't remember which one either.
It was the one with
Ghost Protocol. No,
it was the one with Cavill in it.
All right, what's next?
Matan says, "I'm actually enjoying HBO's The Franchise, though they need to add a disclaimer at the start. That is a work of fiction because I suspect that some of the things in the shows are secondhand accounts from MCU set. They've actually confirmed that in interviews that they are inspired. It's not, they make a ridiculous version of it, but inspired by some events.
Of course, you got Daniel Bruhl in there who can himself. Now, I'm going to say I have not watched a single episode of The Franchise because I started hearing not great things about it. And which is too bad because I was kind of excited for it when I heard it, but then I actually heard that I didn't think the trailers looked very good or entertaining. And then I heard not so great things about it, so I never checked it out. Have you seen any of The Franchise yet?
Of any of that show? No.
No. Yeah, neither have I, unfortunately. All right, what's next?
Anonymous says, "Slow Horses is brilliant. Gary Oldman's character has to be the most gaseous person in TV movie history. He would not get into my car. I'm glad we don't have smelly vision on our TVs. He does fart a lot on the show."
Oh, does he?
Yeah, he's not the picture of health.
Of course, I just saw like a preview for HBO Max in 2025, and they were previewing the next season of Slow Horses, and Ann and I were watching that. When that preview came out, I said, you know what? Everybody's telling me I need to get on this show. I mean, you got Sirius Black in it, so that gets Ann excited 'cause she's a Harry Potter fan. So do you watch Slow Horses?
I haven't watched any of it. My dad loves it. He keeps getting
everybody
real
I
mad,
talked
I
to has. Jonathan, you watch it.
I just haven't seen this latest season. I'm all caught up other than the latest.
Yeah, I hear that it's just a great show, so I got to get on it at some point.
Now that I know he's such a farty boy.
Yeah, it's good. No, his performance is really good.
Oh, I just noticed that we got a new show then to look forward to. Silo. On Friday.
Yeah, season 2. Not a new show, but a new season.
Yeah, new season.
I haven't started it yet.
When does it come out?
November 15th. It's Friday.
Yeah.
Oh, so this week it comes back.
It's coming out.
I really like season 1.
Especially that cliffhanger at the end was
yeah, that was really great. And it's great seeing Tim Robbins back doing stuff again. Of course, he's in one of my all-time favorite movies, Shawshank. So, all right, what's next?
Agent Michael Scarn says, "I can't believe."
Sorry. I just love Office.
I can't believe that Matt Reeves and the people behind the Penguin have me at the same time rooting for Penguin to continue to be king, and yet hope that Batman buries him 6 feet under for what he did in this show. I can't wait for the Batman 2 now.
Again, one of the best, I mentioned this yesterday, one of the best things about Penguin was every time they draw you in to feeling like feeling empathy for Oz, or feeling like, oh yeah, go Oz. You start cheering for Oz. Every time they get you starting to feel that way, they smack you with the reality. Oh yeah, this is a son of a bitch. This is a bad person.
I walked in on Ryan. He was watching the finale yesterday, and after he watched it, he said, "I don't even want to see a season 2. I just want to see Batman crush its skull like in Batman Part 2." That's how
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
how
that was the
horrible
idea.
his feelings were towards Oz, the character. After watching that finale, he was like, "I don't even want to see him anymore. I want him to die or whatever."
Yeah. Oh my God. Like, I just, like, make no mistake about it. Like, they keep, yeah, this show's about him, but they keep reminding you, don't get confused. He is a bad, bad, bad person. And yeah, they do such a great job of that. All right, what's next?
Ho ho, my lads says, do you remember the episode of Ted Lasso where it focuses on Coach Beard's night out?
The one episode
love-
of Ted Lasso I didn't really like.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it though. And he gets chased. That was about when they were trying to focus on other characters. He gets chased by a massive bald British dude with a big beard. I'm not sure if he's capable of an actor enough, but if so, he could be Kratos.
No, guys, please never
You know that
write in
one
about,
dude?
oh, this guy looks like that, so he should play the role. I really don't care about whether or not somebody looks like the part. Just give me great actors. That's the only thing I care about. But yeah, the one episode of Ted Lasso I never really liked. I love just about every other episode of Ted Lasso. And I love Beard. Coach Beard is great, but that was an episode I couldn't get into. And I cannot wait for season 4. So glad they're finally doing a Ted Lasso season 4. All right, what's next?
Glamdring the Faux Hammer says, not enough people talk about the 77 Hobbit movie. I love it. The songs are great. The aesthetic encompasses the dark fantasy of the era perfectly. When was the last time you saw it? Is he talking about the
The
The animated one.
Yeah.
The what, Bashkin? Is that who?
I
did-
remember that as a kid watching that all the time.
Like the music always got, especially the songs sung by the orcs. Like, wow, for such a primeval kind of race, they sure have a glorious singing voices.
Yeah.
Like these deep singing voices. It's funny because I think I rewatched a bunch of it just a few months ago. I stumbled across it and I think I'm going to watch a bit of this. And yeah, listen, by today's standards, it's pretty laughable by today's standards. But I mean, there is something that, like, those images elicit really great feelings from my childhood.
Yeah, me too.
I just, like, Gandalf's voice was iconic to me and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I like them. But if they were to just come out today, like if they had never existed and you just drop them today, they would be laughed out of the room,
it'd feel
unfortunately.
pretty dated.
All right, what's next?
Mike Honcho, half spread, says, hey, John and crew, my wife and I don't think Victor is dead. We think Victor, as we know him, is dead and returns as Zayas. Everyone's hanging on to that.
Later in that same Matt Reeves interview, he confirms Victor's dead. I've read a lot of people in our comments section talking about, oh, well, maybe he's not dead, but Matt Reeves said, like, was pretty definitive about it. Like, so yeah, don't be holding on to any hopes that you're going to see Victor come back.
Yeah.
Well,
The Vic is dead. Bury it. John M says, John, I just had to give an interview for local news and my 5-minute segment has me drained. How do you and your crew do it every day in front of a live audience? Lots of cocaine. I'm kidding.
whoa.
Oh, you guys weren't? That's my secret.
I spent so much money on this nose, Jonathan. I can't do cocaine. This was an investment. Yeah.
Yeah. Then I'm on my own.
A lot of people
I can be an adult and just
Do
put
it
it on
through
my
the ears.
gums. Okay.
for listen, I get it. I understand why a lot of people underestimate how much doing this will take out of you. And I get it, because from home, it looks like, hey, I'm just sitting in a chair and talking for a little bit. When these things are done, I am exhausted. I like, because it's just, you're cognizant of every moment that I have, like right now we have a couple thousand people watching us live, and there'll be tens of thousands of people who watch it later. Hundreds of thousands of people watch the segments throughout the day. And I'm always cognizant of, you're always aware of that. So your brain is operating, to anybody who does this sort of thing, your brain is operating at a much higher RPM than you normally would. And that fatigues you, and it fatigues you a lot. I'm also very cognizant of the fact that if I'm live, this is why 99.9% of like YouTubers do not do live, because you get to edit. You get to pick out the good parts. You get to put it together and make your package. And there's wisdom in that. Great wisdom. I'm not dissing people who don't do it live. That's very wise, very smart. We're live. And I am always aware, because you're trying to talk and you're trying to just be as natural as you can, but I'm always aware if I say one wrong thing. Because we all have jokes we can say amongst friends that we have because you know where you're coming from. Listen, I'll be honest with you. I used to make me and one of the group of friends of mine, as a way of mocking homophobes, we used to make these jokes in the voice of homophobes, and we do these jokes that would come across as gay jokes, because in our group of friends, we knew those jokes were meant to mock homophobes. But if somebody just walking by hears it, they might think you actually meant that. And blah. So like, I'm here doing a show live, not edited, not whatever. And you're always aware that if I say one wrong thing that comes out the wrong way.
You want to talk about some scary thin ice?
What's that?
This guy right here.
Oh yeah. I always tell Ann, like, I'm convinced if I don't retire first, Ray will be the end of my career.
That's some Saskatchewan thin ice right there, my friend.
Yeah. Saskatchewan ice isn't very thin. Very cold in Saskatchewan.
Oh, but when it's thin and you go in, it's very cold.
You guys can't see, but there's like something, a little taser thing that's wrapped around
You get
my
shot.
ankle.
Yeah, that I hit,
around my ankle,
and I got a
that John
button.
actually.
John
I
has
got a button right over here off screen, like buzzing. But listen,
Yeah, you can't see it,
do
it's
that
just off
every day. You do that every day, and the amount of effort that goes into preparing a show like this, and then you're doing it, and like when Jonathan, after we end the show and I say bye-bye, Jonathan ends the shows and then proclaims we're clear. Which you guys know, because every once in a while Jonathan has forgotten to end the show before saying we're clear. But I mean, it says we're clear.
I'll say clear and I forget.
And
to
like,
the mic.
honestly, if you could see me, like as soon as he says we're clear, I go, great. And then if you could see me physically, my body does this. Like it's exhausting. And quite often in the middle of the afternoon, I'll like crawl in the living room, turn something on the TV, and I'll like pass out for a half hour. So, and you do it every day for hours every day. It can be a lot. It can. Anyway. All right. What's next?
Okay, John M follows up. John, I've got good Halloween movies. I've got good Christmas movies. Give me the good Thanksgiving movie, Rex, please. I got one.
What's that?
Planes, Trains, and
That's
Automobiles.
the only one
Yeah.
I was going to say. That's the only one that I really know of. That's a true Thanksgiving movie.
I've looked up some others here, and it's like, okay. I mean,
I always recommend going through and watching all of the Bob's Burgers Thanksgiving episodes.
Oh yeah, those
are
great.
great. Those are so fun.
It's weird for me because Christmas, big deal like it is in the States. In Canada, where real Thanksgiving is in October,
Real Thanksgiving.
but in
They
Canada-
don't live there.
we have Thanksgiving, and it's like American Thanksgiving, where you have the turkey and the stuffing and stuff like that. But honestly, Thanksgiving in Canada isn't that big of a deal. It's a holiday, and we do the turkey and stuffing things, but it's like nowhere near to Canadians as relevant as Christmas or as important as Christmas. Whereas I find in the States, like Thanksgiving is almost on par with Christmas.
I got Thanksgiving.
Right? So we don't really have Thanksgiving movies in Canada.
I got one. Sorry.
what's that?
Four Brothers.
That took
Oh,
place
the
around-
one with Marky Mark.
Oh, you
That's
know
your
what?
Thanksgiving
I guess I didn't realize this, but if you want to go back to some 80s cinema, great actors, The Big Chill
Yeah.
took place around
Oh, that Big Chill.
Thanksgiving.
That's right.
There's a movie called Turkey Hollow.
Yes.
It's
Oh,
like a sleepy.
Genevieve in the live chat just gave me one of the greatest moments, one of the funniest moments ever in television. WKRP, the Thanksgiving turkey drop.
Oh, yeah,
If
yeah,
you
yeah.
guys don't know that, and because that was a show when I was a kid, so
Sure.
maybe look up on YouTube WKRP turkey drop. It's one of the funniest things ever. Oh, the humanity! It's seriously hilarious.
I guess the Grumpy Old Men takes place around Thanksgiving too. So there you go.
All right, what's next?
Say My Name says, yesterday you said about a
my
film not being what I am trying to read here.
Beyonce?
Yesterday you said about film not being shown in 16 screen theaters. Oh, yeah, because they don't always show out here at Tyler. I've noticed it happening here in the UK with some big films getting stupid showtimes like 16:30, which is what, like 4:30 for us, or after that, like 2200.
That's 10 p.m.
Yeah, not work friendly. Also, why do cinemas not do hot food? Oh, ours do.
Well, ours do. Yeah. I mean, like hot dogs and sliders and chicken
I have to
fingers.
say,
and-
I'm like, obviously, like theater food is not going to be the greatest, but AMC's chicken tenders are really
are
good.
really quite surprisingly
Yeah.
good. Yeah, I'll give them that.
Yeah.
I'm not super big on their hot dogs, but their chicken tenders are
Yeah.
shockingly good. Yeah, very, very surprised. Yeah, listen, it's all about movie theaters are going to put movies on their screens based on what they think is going to get people into the theaters. Because remember, the movie theater's main business isn't the movies themselves. The movies are just bait to movie theaters to bring people in, because their real business is the concession stand. That's their business. That's where they make their actual money. That's what actually keeps the lights on. And so if you have a movie that's not bringing in an audience, you'll probably put it to a not as idealistic piece of theater running real estate. You'll give it like either no screens, or you'll give it a screen at, you know, a not so great time, because for them, it's just all about what's going to bring people into the theater so we can sell our concessions. And because that's the business model, that's how they survive. So it's kind of understandable, but it does make for some pretty inconvenient viewing sometimes. All right, what's next?
Tron says, shout out to Venom. Not only is it #1 at the box office for a third weekend, but it's beaten the Black Adam mark and is closing in on 400 million. It may cross 5. I don't know about 5, but whether you like this trilogy or not, you can't deny the popularity of this character.
I still
Venom
remember,
is
like, first
huge.
of all, I did not like Venom 3. Okay, just to be clear, I didn't like Venom 3. I love the first couple. I really do. And I still remember all those people when they announced that Venom movie. No one's going to go see a Venom movie without Spider-Man. And I said, yes, they are. No, they're not. First one made, like, the first two together made like $1.3 billion. And like, while I didn't like this third one, I mean, even as a bad movie, it's going to cross 400 million. So yes, you can do these movies without Spider-Man, but you can do them well, like the first Venom, or you can do them like Morbius. Again, doesn't matter if you have singing lesbian witches or not. Doesn't matter if you have Spider-Man villains with or without Spider-Man. It's about, do you make a good movie? Do you make a movie that's entertaining? So you can have a Spider-Man movie without Spider-Man and have it make $800 million. Or you make another Spider-Man villain movie without Spider-Man and have it be crap. It's not about that. It's about, do you make a good, compelling, exciting, fun, entertaining movie? It's all that matters. All right, what's next?
Anonymous says, I know you don't always like picking actors for certain parts, but if they ever decide to cast Poison Ivy, I think Jodie Comer would be a great choice.
I think there are 6 actresses that would be great choices, but she's definitely one. I mean, I think she's terrific. So
I liked her in The Bike Riders.
Oh, she was great in The Bike Riders. I loved her in Free Guy. I mean, look, obviously Killing Eve is where she really got put on the radar for most people. But I mean, she's just one of those actresses that there's not a lot you could mention that I wouldn't think she'd be good for, because she's just that good of an actress. All right, what's next?
I Am Justice says, after watching the Penguin finale, I went on YouTube to rewatch my favorite Arkham Knight scene. I'll break every bone in your body, Cobblepot. But seriously, I hope Batman unleashes a huge Arkham combo on him in the sequel.
I think there are some not good things in Oz's future when it comes to, because again, I mean, the ending of it is kind of implies that now they got Batman's attention. And yeah, I think there's going to be a really great cathartic moment for the audience where we're going to see probably Oz lose some teeth. Probably. That's just my guess. All right, what's next?
2 more. Kevin says, with all the talk about Penguin season 2, do you think it's impossible to have a second season without Pattinson Batman? I don't see how they could do a proper story and avoid the inevitable confrontations. What do you all think?
Absolutely, you can. Everybody keeps forgetting there are 100 things going on in Gotham that could have Batman's attention. There's not like one criminal, right? There's a lot of murderers and all this kind of stuff, and people who need help and all that kind of stuff. Yes, you can do a season 2 without Batman. 100% you can. Just think about all the stories, like the Batman stories you read in comics, where Batman is focused on a particular adversary. Well, guess what? There's still 1,000 other adversaries out there that are doing things that don't have Batman's attention right now. Penguin is not always going to be. So yes, depending on what happens in Batman 2, you absolutely can do a Penguin season 2 where there is no Batman. 100% you can if you write it the right way. So yes, you can. All right, what's next?
Sam Fisher says, I'm with Chris. I know it's cool that Denzel is joining the MCU is awesome, but as a massive Shakespeare nerd, I'm far more excited that he's playing Othello than King Lear, especially after the Macbeth movie he did with Ethan Coen.
God, that movie's so good.
I loved that movie.
So good.
That movie was so good. The acting, and it was so, who played his wife again in it? It was
Frances.
Yeah, Frances McDormand.
Yeah.
McDormand. Anyway, like 2 or 3-time Academy Award winner. That movie is so good. Nobody went to go see it.
I don't think I saw that Hamlet. The last Hamlet I saw was with Kenneth Branagh, which I loved.
Oh.
But
Yeah, so it's really cool that he wants to go out on that note. I think that's great, but I'm also very excited that we're going to see him in the MCU. I think that's really cool too. All right, guys.
Yep.
And that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much for joining us and making our little show a part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in questions. Number one, because you gave us fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported our channel as you did it, and all of us involved with the show. Thank you guys so very much for your support. Hey guys, don't forget to come on back and join us again tomorrow. Hit the thumbs up button. Make sure you like the video. Leave comments down below. Whatever you guys do, though, do make sure you plan on coming back and join us again next time. I want to thank the people in the room with me, Ray Ora.
Be safe, everyone.
Jonathan Voico.
See you later.
Chris Carr.
Bye.
Thanks so much for being here, guys. My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, have you ever tasted a 15-year-old?
God.
Ah!